So everyone, today we're going to focus on a new topic, local SEO. This is week 4. And so as you can see here, this is where we are in regards to the entire course. And I wanted to take a session to focus on local SEO because I think it's something that you all can use right away, not only on the Interrupt Media website, but also for any Interrupt Media clients who might have more of a local focus, and even for Ben's Brass Animals brand. I think these are, local SEO is definitely applicable to each of these situations. And so today, that's where we're going to focus on. So the roadmap for today's session, we're going to go over some of the basics, talking more about what is local SEO, when you would use local SEO for your strategy, the different types of local searches that you would optimize your website for, local SEO ranking factors. We're going to go over Google Maps, which is a very important component of local SEO. And then, of course, at the end, we're going to have some time for Q&A, and we'll go over the homework. But of course, as always, if you have any questions on a slide or a bullet point, feel free to interrupt and we'll address it there. So what is local SEO? So local SEO in a nutshell is a specific strategy where you're focusing your optimization on a specific geographical area, like a city or region or even a section in a city. So think, if you had a business in Manila, your local SEO strategy would focus just on Manila, Philippines. Or if your business served people all over the Calabarzon region, you will have a local SEO strategy just focused on that region. It's similar to national SEO, but there are a few key differences and applications. And one of the key takeaways that I want you all to take from this session is that there are 3 areas of focus for local SEO. Those are relevance, proximity, and prominence. And we'll revisit each of these 3 areas at the end of the session, but it's very important that you take that away from today's session. So when would you use a local SEO strategy? So local SEO is best for a brick and mortar business. So if you have an actual physical location and you serve a local clientele. So let's say, there's a dentist in your city, there probably will only be serving patients in your city. They wouldn't be worried about patients too much in other cities unless they had a different office there. So you really only want to focus your SEO on phrases and terms related to that city. In local SEO, even if you don't have a physical business, local SEO is also a good strategy if you are only serving people locally. So let's say, for example, if we look at Joy's website. So Joy, she's taken these SEO courses and now she's grown her online business with singing. But she's only interested in working with people in her local area. So maybe in her local part of the city or just the city overall. She would want to have a local SEO strategy because people in other cities, she wouldn't be able to meet with them in person unless she travels. So that might not be that very convenient for her. That might not be very convenient for her students. So she only wants to focus locally for her singing lessons. So those are 2 areas or applications for local SEO. Any questions there so far? Okay. So why would you use a local SEO strategy? So local customers, they're more often than not using the internet to find local businesses. So think of it, if you were out with your friends on a weekend and you wanted to try a new place to eat or, maybe a new place to watch a movie or something like that, you would probably go straight to your mobile phone to find that place, right? So these are just some stats on why local SEO is important. So 46% of all Google searches are local. So that means out of all of the Google searches everywhere in the world every day, 46% of those are focused on finding local businesses in that searcher's area. 64% of local customers use search engines and directories as their main way to find a local business. So if you had a business, let's go back to Joy's singing school example. Joy, if you had a business that you were only serving local clientele, local students, then a lot of your effort should be going into optimizing your local presence, because that's how most of your customers will find you. 50% of local mobile searches look for business information. So let's say you know about a pizza place or know about an ice cream parlor, but you don't remember their number, you don't quite remember how to get there. You're going to go straight to your phone to find out information about the business. And then finally, 78% of local mobile searches result in an offline purchase. So going back to the example with if you're looking for a new restaurant or a new place to watch a movie, you'll probably look on your phone first to figure out where that movie theater is at, what time they close, and maybe even what movies do they have showing. And even so, after you do that research online, of course, you're going to actually go to the movie theater and you're going to purchase your ticket. You might purchase some snacks, and if you really like it there, you might go back over and over again. But just remember that 78% of those searches, those customers, are coming first from local mobile. These are some other reasons, not necessarily stats on why local SEO is important for a business. Local search marketing is highly targeted and timely. So let's say, again, let's go back to Joy's example. Let's say there was a teenager, they wanted to improve their vocal ability. They would go straight to Google to find a local vocal coach that can help them take their singing skills to the next level. Local search marketing provides a high return on investment compared to other types of marketing. So again, this kind of feeds into the first bullet point. If you're really targeting someone at the right time, so when they're actually looking for the service or the product that your business offers, it's a good chance that they're going to become a customer because you hit them at the right time when they're in need. And compared to other types of marketing, like maybe social media, doing stuff like offline, like print advertising, or maybe flyers. So you might have seen some businesses that give out flyers. Local search marketing has a much higher return on investment. Local complements mobile search well and is designed for people on the go. So going back to the pizza or the movie theater example, if someone is looking for a movie theater, they are on the go, they're probably not at home in front of their computer, and they want to find somewhere that's close to them. So the cool thing about mobile search now is that it's only going to return results that are close to you. So example, so Thea, you might live far from Jarek. I don't know, is that true?
No.
No? Okay. But let's say you guys maybe live 30 or 45 minutes away. What you find, and you're at home and you're doing a search for a movie theater, your search results when you're looking for a movie theater are probably going to be very different compared to Jarek's results, because those results are based on proximity. There's a low barrier of entry. This is an area, local SEO, it's an area where many businesses just aren't really optimizing for it very well, or they don't know how to optimize for it. So if you're a small business, small to medium-sized business, and you're looking to grow your customer base and using online marketing as a channel, then it's very easy, depending on your city, depending on your industry, it's very easy for you to get some traction because people still aren't optimizing, business owners still aren't optimizing for local SEO. And then finally, and we'll go into reviews a little bit later more, 85% of customers trust online business reviews as much as personal recommendations. So, any of you probably have had this situation where if you're going to a business for the first time, you don't know how good their services are or how good their products are, you're probably going to just take a quick look at the reviews. And what this stat is showing is that those reviews are just as good as maybe your sibling or your significant other telling you that that business it provides good services. So very important when you're looking to expand your online visibility. So any questions on this slide? Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to give you all a background on why local SEO should be important when you're working with clients or even on your own websites. So there are different types of local searches. So the first is keyword only. So an example of this is if you went to Google and you just did a simple search on graphic designer or barber, and based on what how the Google algorithm has evolved over time, even if you type in graphic designer from your office and I typed it from my office here, we're going to get very different results because, again, we're in two different countries, right? Thousands of miles away. So that's one type of search. The second type of search is keyword and location. So let's say if you're searching for a photographer in Cebu City or a hairstylist in Davao, those are different combinations that you would use. So it would basically be the service plus your location. So I'm in Houston, so I would do something maybe like Coffee Shop Houston to find different coffee shops in my area. Third type of local search is a mobile-based search. So it's very similar to number one, but it can be a combination of number one or number two. And then again, this is where, based on where you're located, you're going to get different results. So even if you're in the same city, and let's say you live far away from the office where you all are at now, you might get different search results because businesses are close or far to you. And then the fourth type of search is a proximity search. So this is when you're not sure. So maybe you're in a new city, so you don't really know the area, and then you have you're maybe want to get a tattoo while you're traveling. Maybe you messed up your cell phone, so you're looking for a cell phone store to repair it. So you're going to add this near me at the end of the search to find the service you're looking for and find a service provider that's near you. Any questions on the types of local searches?
I have a question.
Yep.
Yes, for example, like for me, I always turn off the location on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
So what if I do a search using proximity searches? Will Google still detect my location even if I have it turned off on my phone?
That's a great question, Dia. So when you turn off, so I'm guessing you mean when you have maybe the location, like your GPS enabled. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah. So it won't be able to return very accurate results, if you did have your GPS enabled. But based on your search history, so if you've probably done a search for something else that was local specific, the algorithm is smart enough, sophisticated enough to where it'll still return things locally to you.
Or will it also detect my IP?
Say that again?
Will it also detect my IP address?
Not so much your IP. It's going to be more so your geo coordinates, so your longitude and latitude coordinates.
All right.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, great. Anything else? Any other questions on this? Okay. So this is the local search engine results page. So remember, we had this little map area, and that was kind of the key one of the key characteristics of a local search engine results page. Now, this is a review question, and I'm going to start off with Jana. Jana, do you remember what this section box in red is called?
Local pack.
Yep, very good. So yeah, it's called the local pack, the map pack, but yeah, very good. So just a closer inspection of the map pack. So there are a few things I want to point out here. So the first section is the reviews, right? And you all probably have seen this when you've done a Google search, the little stars, and it has like the review rating. So that's very important because, okay, if these guys, they're in Angeles City, they have a 3 rating, but these number 2 and number 3, they have a 3.9 and a 3.8. So you might skip over these first guys here and go with number, Pizza Hut Angeles or Historic Kemalik Restaurant because they have higher ratings, better reviews. The second thing to point out here is the location. So you see here, for each of these different results, they provide the location on where you can find that business. So this is really important. If you don't know where the business is, you can look at this, and you can also look at the map to figure out how to get there. You can't patronize a business until you know where it's at. So that's one key characteristic of the local map pack. And then business attributes. So the first two don't have this, but if you look closely at number 3 here, it has like different characteristics like cozy, casual, good for kids. So let's say, if you were looking for something that you wanted to take your whole family, your kids and your significant other, you would probably look for something that says good for kids. But let's say you wanted to celebrate your anniversary with your significant other, you might not want something good for kids. Maybe you want something a little more formal, something romantic. Those are the type of attributes that you'd be looking for. So very important, and we'll get into, that's one key way that you will optimize for your local SEO. But those are just some of the key characteristics of the map pack. And so very important to note that even local search results and map packs can vary between different search queries and different search locations. So, one of the clear ways that they can vary is that if you're searching even in the same city, but you're searching for maybe different neighborhoods, this local pack might be very different. Sometimes it may include the phone number, sometimes it may include the address, sometimes not. Sometimes it will include the business attributes, and sometimes it won't. It just depends on what Google wants to return for that particular search query. So any questions on that? Okay. So there are several factors that really influence your local SEO presence. So the first is authority, and don't worry about writing these down. We're going to go over each in more detail in the next slides. So the first is your website authority. So simply, how authoritative is your website compared to other websites within your industry or in your area? The number 2, the second factor, is keyword focus. So how well optimized is your website for your target keywords? Number 3, the presence of name, address, and phone data. So you basically want to make sure that your business name, your business address, and your business phone number are visible on your website and also on different online properties for your business. Number 4, you want to make sure that you optimize your Google My Business profile according to best practices. Number 5, you want to have very high quality citations that refer back to your business. Number 6, website user behavior. So in a nutshell, how engaged are people with your website? Are they staying on your website a long time? Are they navigating to different pages and so forth? Number 7, and we just went over this, reviews. Very important not only for your local SEO, but for people to understand, what type of services you provide and what they can expect from your business. Number 8, social media signals. So fairly simply, are you engaging on social media? Are people sharing your website on Facebook, on Twitter? If you maybe offer something more visual like jewelry or clothing, are people sharing it on Instagram and Pinterest? Very important that there is some social media engagement for your business and for your brand. So these factors, and I want to be very clear here, so none of these factors stand out more than the others. They're all kind of part of a overall strategy. But when combined, they have a tremendous influence on your local presence and visibility online. So let's start with the first factor, online authority. So the authority of your website is really important. So some of the key factors for your authority include improving your website's overall SEO. So pretty much what we went over during the on-page SEO training and during some of the other trainings, the technical SEO training, very important that your website is up to standard when it comes to your on-page and technical SEO. Building backlinks to your website. So this is something that we'll go over into more detail next week, but basically building backlinks to your website helps build your website authority. Number 3, ensuring that all of your website pages are crawlable. So making sure that if you have 10 pages on your website that you want people to find you for, making sure that those 10 pages are showing up in Google and resolving any issues if that's not the case. And so one thing that's not listed here, and it's sort of a factor that's out of your control, is the age of your website. So the websites that you all just started a few weeks ago, compared to a website that's 10 years old, it's not going to have that much authority just because it's not that old. But if you do these 3 things better than older websites, then you still position your website to have more authority. So just something important to remember there. Now, for this, I'm going to do a little demo. It's a Chrome extension called the Moz Bar. And this was one of your homework assignments in one of the earlier sessions. But the Moz Bar, it's a free Chrome extension, and it basically tells you how much authority your website has. So you can see here I have the Interrupt Media website pulled up, and this Moz Bar, this is the little gray bar here across the top, and there are 2 metrics you want to look at here. So the first is PA, which stands for page authority, and then the second metric is DA, which stands for domain authority. Now your domain, your website, that's all going to be in the DA metric, the domain authority metric. So basically that number tells you your website overall, how authoritative is it? And that metric for Interrupt Media is 7, and that's on a scale of 0 to 100. Your page authority, on the other hand, is more granular. So it gives you the authority for a specific page. So I just want to show you guys something. So you see here the page authority for your home page is 9. If we go to your About Us page, it'll probably be different. Let's see. So your page authority for your home page was 9. The page authority for your About Us page is 6. So basically, the page authority is different for each page on your website, but your domain authority is going to be the same across your website. So for what we're going over today, I would be more concerned with the domain authority. And so over time, you want that number to increase because that just shows that your website is getting more authority and more trusted online. So any questions on that point?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
What's the ideal number for the page authority and the demand authority?
Okay, sure. So for your page authority, there is no magic number because, yeah, so basically how it works, your page authority is going to start at, or I'm sorry, your domain authority is going to start at 1. And over time, that number is going to go up. And the harder, the higher your authority, the more difficult it is for it to increase. So what that means is to go from the main authority of 5 to 10 is much easier than going from a domain authority of 55 to 60. It becomes increasingly more difficult. Now, the ideal domain authority is really more, you have to look at it in context. So, and that's really where you should look at your competitors and other similar websites in your niche. So if, let's say, Interrupt Media, so let's just say if we're looking at other marketing automation companies in San Francisco, and we saw that the average was, the domain authority average was 20, then that would be a good benchmark to go for. So you should try to increase your domain authority to 20. And really even more, maybe want to go a little bit higher, so maybe 25. And that way your site is more authoritative than other websites that you're competing against. Does that make sense, Dia?
Yes.
Now for page authority, the answer is a little more complicated. So some pages on your website, you might not care that they have much authority. So your Contact Us page, usually that's not a page that's going to rank in Google. So it's okay if you have a very low page authority. But something like your services page, so that's where people can find out more about your different services, then that's a page that you might want to focus on increasing the page authority. And then again, the way I would go about that is looking at your competitors and seeing, for their services pages, what is their page authority, and then using it as your benchmark. Does that answer your question? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Jenna, it looks like you're falling asleep. Everything okay back there? Oh, good? Okay. All right, so that's the Moz Bar. So if you haven't already, please install that because we're going to be using it more in future weeks.
Okay.
So let's go back to our presentation mode. So factor number 2, keyword optimization. And you guys, y'all should already be experts, semi-experts on this. This is something that we went over in on-page SEO, the on-page SEO session. But just a few things to keep in mind. So make sure that each page on your website is mapped to a specific keyword. So if your website has 10 pages, again, each of those pages should have their own target keyword. For local SEO, there's something called a local modifier where you want to incorporate your keyword phrases, but also incorporate your city. So let's say if you were a photographer in Angeles City, Angeles. So instead of just optimizing your website for photographer, you would do something like Angeles photographer, and then your brand name or something like that. But when you're optimizing for local SEO, you want to make sure that you're incorporating a city as well. So let's say if your team, if you were only interested in working with companies in the San Francisco, California. So your homepage title would be something like San Francisco content marketing or San Francisco marketing automation. That's how you would optimize for local SEO. The third bullet point here, you want to optimize for your keywords in strategic places. So you all already noticed, but you want to optimize for your page title, your meta description, your alt tags and your image captions, your headings and subheadings, your H1 and H2 tags. So you want to make sure that you're including your keyword and variations of your keywords in those places on your website's pages. Here's another review question, and I'm going to pick on Jarek for this one. So Jarek, what is a WordPress plugin that we can use to help with keyword optimization?
What is the WordPress plugin we use to help with keyword optimization?
Dia
Yoast
yep,
plugin.
yep, very good, very good. Yep, so Dia mentioned it earlier today. So yeah, if you guys can really become good with using Yoast, then that's going to take care of maybe 80% of what's needed for on-page SEO. So just keep that in mind. So factor number 3, NAP consistency. And NAP is an abbreviation for name, address, and phone. It's very critical that you have consistent information about your business online, because if you don't, then it kind of can take away from the trustworthiness of your business. So, Jonah, have you ever called a business and it was the wrong number? Has that ever happened?
No.
No, really?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating, right? Because you're probably calling them because you need something or you're interested in their service or their products. But if it comes back with a wrong number, then what you're going to do, you're probably going to look for another business. You're probably going to, just give up at that point. So, so that's why it's really important, because you don't want to deter customers, your potential customers, away because you have a wrong number or if you have a wrong address, so they're not able to find your storefront. And this is really important for optimizing for local SEO too, because not only does it take away from the trustworthiness of your brand, but when there's inconsistent information out there, it's going to trigger a red flag for the different search engines, and this can really hurt your local SEO and hurt your website rankings. So just a few best practices. So I took a snapshot of the footer of the Interrupt Media website. So this probably looks familiar.
Yes.
So you want to place your company's name, address, and phone information in the website footer, as you guys have done here. So you have your phone number, and then you have your address here in San Francisco. And you even have your map here, which is very good. It shows the location for the office in San Francisco. If you're a local area business, you should avoid using a toll-free number. So a number that starts with like 800 or 855 or something like that. You want to stay away from that because, again, if you're targeting a local area, then you should use that local area code. So the example for San Francisco, you've used the 214 number. Another area code you could use for San Francisco is 415. But that's good that you're not using an 800 number here. Multiple locations require multiple location pages. And basically what this means is if you meet with clients or meet with customers in different locations, so let's say Interrupt Media had an office, they have the current office in San Francisco. They also had an office, you guys also had an office in New York City, or you also had an office in Los Angeles or Sydney, Australia, wherever in the world. You need to have a separate location page for each of those locations. And similar to what we talked about here, each location page should have its own address and its own phone number. And even, its own map here. They're very important, and that's how you can better optimize for local searches. Because remember, someone searching in your city, their results might be very different than if I'm searching from my city here in the US. So very important that you optimize locally. Any questions there? No? Okay. So one thing I've talked about here is consistency for your citations. And the name of the tool I use to just kind of do a quick review on how, if the citations are consistent or not is called the Yext Business Scanner. So I'm going to just do a quick demo here just so you all can see how that works. So this is the tool, Yext. So if you just Google yextbusinessscan.com or Yext Business Scan, you should be able to find a tool. And earlier today, I ran a check on Interrupt Media. So you can see here, it's Interrupt Media, and this is the address in San Francisco, 15 South Raymond, San Francisco, California, and there's your phone number. Now, unfortunately, the optimization rate is 0, where the highest score can be 100. So let's figure out why that score is so low. So the first thing that really catches my attention is Google. So there's no Google My Business page. So it shows here that the listing is missing. And then if you notice, for many of the websites, it has brass animals. So that's been banned. But you have, so basically what's going on here, you have two companies. You have Interrupt Media, and then you have brass animals. And so Google is trying to figure out, the search engines are trying to figure out, okay, which address is tied to which company. And there's a lot of confusion there because there's also this address 3055 Steiner Street, but it's also kind of tying in this 15 South Raymond Avenue address as well. So looking at this, it tells me that it definitely needs to be cleaned up, and there should be, a separate location for brass animals and then a separate location for Interrupt Media. Now, a common issue when there are two businesses operating out of the same office is, okay, you can't have the same address for two businesses. So what we usually do in those cases is use a suite number. So, maybe Interrupt Media would be suite A, and then Brass Animals would be suite B. They can have the same address here, but they would just have different suite numbers, and that would be enough of a differentiator so there aren't consistency issues. So yeah, I guess the key takeaway here, you can use the Yext Business Scan to figure out if your citations are consistent or not. And it's very important that your citations are consistent, because if there aren't, you're going to get all of these little red flags that we see here. Now, any questions there? No? Okay. Let's go back to our presentation mode.
I have a question.
Oh, go for it.
Will you be able to get 100 score if you have all the listings on those directories?
Yeah. So a 100 score is possible, but if you can get your score into the 80s or 90s, that's a really good start.
Okay.
Yep.
But that would mean you have to add your businesses to those directories. Right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of your homework assignments is going to be looking at that Yext Scan tool more closely, and you'll actually see all the different websites that are listed there. So yeah, just keep that in mind.
I will use that.
So factor number 4, Google My Business optimization, and this is very important. I know I mentioned earlier that none of the factors are more important than the others, but if I had to pick one thing that should be prioritized, it would be your Google My Business profile. And so over here, it is just an example of one of my Google My Business profiles. So just some key factors to remember when optimizing your profile on Google My Business. You want to make sure that you include good images and or video of your office or place of business. Really, the goal here is that if someone's never patronized your business, they never visited your office, you want to set the expectation of what it would be like to be in your office and working with your team. And so images are a great way. So if you take images on the inside of your office, like of your desk, of your, it's different for different businesses. But let's say if you were a hairstylist or had a salon, if you took pictures of people getting their hair styled or people under the hair dryer, those would be some really good images to include on your Google My Business profile. on top of that, videos, which are probably more powerful, that would be a great way to provide an introduction for you and your team. Or even if there's something more hands-on, so going back to a hairstylist, you can have a video of them styling someone's hair or doing some different type of style. That can just show people that you're the expert and you know what you're doing. So we already talked about this in a few slides before, but you want to make sure that your business information is accurate. So that includes your address, that includes your opening hours, and that includes your business category. So your category and your attributes, that's going to vary depending on the nature of your business. And you want to get happy customers to write reviews on your profile. So remember, when someone's searching for a business that they've never visited before, you want to make sure that they have good reviews because you don't want to spend your hard-earned money and their services aren't great, right? So that's why it's really important to get good reviews on your profile. And you want to use keywords in your business description. So you want to make sure that whatever your business is, whether it's a online marketing company or a singing school or a photography studio, you want to make sure that you're using those keywords in your business description. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into how to optimize your Google My Business profile during this session, but I did prepare a separate video. It'll walk you step by step from everything to verifying your business, your Google My Business profile, to actually optimizing it once you have the verification completed. And just to show you a live example of a Google My Business profile, so this is a digital marketing agency in Atlanta, and so it's always going to be on the right-hand side here. You can see here there are pictures, there's a map. You can see they have quite a few reviews, 51, and then they also have different, their address, their phone number, and their opening hours. And then, depending on your business, you might also want to have an appointment URL. So this would be really important if you were a doctor or a dentist or something like that. You'll have a dedicated page where people can make appointments. And so if you click on the photos, you can actually see different photos of the business. So this is what it would look like if you were in Atlanta, the city where this agency is located, and you were standing outside. So they even have like a team photo here. So this is the entire team. And then they also have, this is their logo. So, you can really get creative with this. You can see here they also have video. So very important that once you verify your Google My Business profile, that you're adding images and adding video. So I'll pause that, but any questions on that part? Okay. So as I mentioned, I prepared a separate video, but this is also going to be another one of your homework assignments for this week to optimize, to set up the Google My Business for interrupt media. Because from my research, it didn't look like there was one. So optimize it, get it verified, and then optimize it to show it better in local SEO for local search. Was there a question?
Yes.
Yes.
What if you don't have office, just like online business?
Yeah, very good question, Jenna. So if you don't have an office, there's an option where you can say that I don't want my address shown. So this feature was created just for online businesses where You don't want people showing up at your house, right, or your apartment. That'd be kind of creepy. So you can basically use your home address for to verify your Google My Business listing. But then once it's verified, you can click and say, I don't want my address shown. And in the video, the separate video that I created, you'll see how exactly that you would do that. But very good question. That always comes up. Any other questions? Okay. So factor number 5, business citations. So we've already talked about the importance of making these consistent. So does anyone want to tell me why they should be consistent?
To update your
Go ahead, Jenna. Don't be shy.
What's the question again?
So we just went over a few slides ago why it's important to have your business information consistent and accurate. Why is that? Why is it important for it to be accurate?
To avoid confusion.
Right. So confusion from your potential customers and also for confusion from the search engines. So very good, Jarek. So business citations are external references to your company's name, address, and phone information. So remember when we talked about it's important that you have that name, address, and phone information on your website, and it's important that it's consistent. It's also important that it's consistent and accurate on other websites. So when we reviewed Interrupt Media on that Yak scanner tool, basically what that tool was showing are different citation websites where the information was either missing, so there wasn't a profile at all, or the information was inaccurate. So it's not only website focused, you want to make sure that it's consistent and accurate everywhere. And so the reason why you want to have these business citations is that it provides confirmation to the search engine that you have a legitimate business. And the thought process there is, okay, if Jarek opened his photography studio, this week, right? And he wanted, he's a legitimate business. He wants to attract more customers to work with him. He's going to have his Google My Business profile, but he's also going to have his profile set up on these other business websites because history shows that businesses can attract customers through those websites. So the way that the search engines view this is, okay, if he has a legitimate business and he has these citations for his business, then he must be legitimate. Let's reward his company with better rankings in Google and Bing and Yahoo and so forth. Is that point clear?
Yes.
Okay. And so the citation websites will vary greatly based on your location in your country. So you'll notice that when you go back and look at Interrupt Media and Yaks, that those lists of citation websites, some of them probably don't even exist in the Philippines. So it's very important that whatever business that you're doing this for, that you are using citation sites that are relevant for their country. So these are a few that are actually popular for the Philippines, but don't even exist in the United States. So have you all heard of any of these?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is, some of these, so like, for example, Pinoy listing, it's not a thing here in the U.S., so that's why it's very important that you keep the location in mind. Okay. So moving on to factor number 6, website user behavior. And so we touched on this a bit in previous weeks, but this is going to be like a quick review. So website user behavior, so it's very important that you have good engagement metrics for your website because these signal that users are satisfied when using your site. So some of the key metrics include bounce rate. So bounce rate simply means when someone lands on your website, what are the percentage of people that leave immediately? So they don't submit a contact us form, they don't call you, they don't navigate to another page. They land on one page on your website, then they leave immediately. So the percentage of people who do that, that's going to be your bounce rate. Average time on site, so that simply means on average, how long does someone stay on your website? So obviously the higher that is, the better. The average number of pages per visit. So on average, how many pages does someone visit when they're on your website? So again, the higher that number, the better. And then finally, the click-through rate from search. So click-through rate from search. So basically what that means is, if all of the people that search for a particular phrase. So let's say, let's use Dia's K-pop store, for example. So Dia, she opened a K-pop store where you can buy K-pop merchandise and K-pop fan gear. And let's say she's competing with other people in your city. So your click-through rate is going to be basically how many people click on your website versus others for that given search term. So quick question. So this is going to be for Joy. So Joy, what is click-through rate?
I mean, a metric used frequently in various marketing crafts, from copywriting.
Not quite. Does anyone want to help her out?
The user.
Is it the number of clicks that you get on each pages?
Okay, that's a start. Okay. Anyone? Okay, so I'll help you guys out. So click-through rate is basically, it's going to be the ratio of how many people click on your website versus all others. So give me 1 minute here. So we did. Okay. Let's go this. Okay, so let's just open up a paint file. Okay. Now, so your click-through rate, it's actually a ratio, right? So Dia was off to a good start. So it's going to be the number of clicks so number of clicks over your number of impressions. So I'm just going to abbreviate impressions. So impressions are the total number of times that your website shows up in the search results. So if someone searches for K-pop Philippines and Dia's website, or let's say K-pop merchandise Philippines, and Dia's website shows up 1,000 times over a month, then her website has 1,000 impressions. And so let's say out of those 1,000 times, someone has clicked through to her website 100 times. So that's actually a really good click-through rate. So her click-through rate would be what? 10, so number of clicks, so 100 over 1,000. So what would her click-through rate be?
0.10%.
So 10%, right? Yeah, so 10%. So your click-through rate in that case would be 10%. And so really, the reason why I want to revisit this is that the higher your click-through rate in the search results, the higher, the bigger benefit for your local SEO and your local visibility. And so one way to improve your click-through rate is going back to the basics. So we talked about page titles and meta descriptions. So making sure that those are well written, so that out of all of the search results, that your page title, the description of your website really stands out. So if you guys need to go back and revisit that, I highly recommend it. But that's what click-through rate is, and that's why it's important for your local SEO. Now, how do I get rid of this? Let's see. There we go. Cool. You guys, I know this is our art class too.
You're a good painter.
No, you're being nice. So let's go back to presentation mode. So any questions on factor number 6 before we move on? Okay. So factor number 7, and we've already touched on this a couple of times today, but reviews. So I'm sure maybe you guys have left reviews before for a business if you had a really bad experience, or maybe you've looked up a business, but you ended up not going because they didn't have good reviews. So reviews are very important for your Google My Business optimization. So I would say, one action item, once you guys complete the homework task this week of verifying the Google My Business profile for Interrupt Media, then also going back in and optimizing it, the next step would be working with Ben to figure out how you can get more reviews on that Google My Business location, or Google My Business profile. So this is a snapshot of a Google My Business profile. It's a day spa salon here near my home. So the quality and quantity of reviews is very important. So it's not important that you have a lot of reviews. They need to be good reviews, right? So you need to make sure that you get as many five-star reviews as you can. But quantity does help. If you have five-star reviews and your competitor has 100 five-star reviews, then your competitor is going to look more credible and look like the better service provider. Never use fake reviews. Never do this. There are different providers out there that they'll sell good reviews. You pay them, some amount of money, and then they'll go on to your Google My Business profile and add reviews for your company. But they never were a customer. So these might work for, short term, but long term, Google and other search engines, they, become suspect of, why are you getting these reviews from your businesses based in Houston? Why are you getting these reviews from people in the Philippines or China or India? So that looks very suspicious. So that's why you want to make sure that you get legitimate reviews for your business. You always want to respond to reviews, good or bad. So you see here, this particular business owner, they responded to the good review from Sandra, but they had a 1-star review from disgruntled customer about 2 months ago. Unfortunately, they didn't respond there, so it kind of looks like, okay, maybe this person really did have a bad experience, and the business owner really didn't do anything to try to resolve the situation. So that just shows how present that business owner is to their customers' needs. You want to prioritize collecting reviews not only on Google My Business, but you also want to do so on your Facebook business page and other important directories for the location. So if you're doing this for Interrupt Media, some popular websites that you want to collect reviews on include Google My Business, Facebook, and Yelp. And yeah, so I just want to make sure, are there any questions on that, on this slide? Jonah, why do you think it's good to have reviews for your business? Jonah.
Chana or Chona?
Jonah. So straight ahead, in the middle.
Good feedback.
Yep. And why is good feedback important?
To get more customer.
Good. Yep. Get more customers. Any other reason why good feedback is important? Jana, you have any other?
To have good reviews.
Tell us for reviews. Yep. Yep. That's it. So factor number 8. So this is the last factor. So social media signals. So you want to make sure that you establish a presence on social media for your company by engaging with your customers there. You want them to get excited about your business. So let's say, for Interrupt Media, a lot of your customers might be other companies where you're helping them with marketing and marketing automation and different marketing services. So a good source or good platform to be on in that case is LinkedIn, where you can engage with customers, you can share insightful content, and you can follow different potential clients that would be a good fit for your services. So not only that, but you also want to share your own content, and you want to encourage happy clients to share information about your business. So each social media platform calls it something different, but it's pretty much the same thing. So on Facebook, it's a Facebook like or a Facebook share, or if someone comments on your Facebook post. For Twitter, it's a tweet or a retweet or a follow. On LinkedIn, it's someone shares or likes your post. It's different depending on the platform. So some popular platforms, and these may be different based on the industry, but some of the more general popular social media platforms include Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, or LinkedIn. So I suggest that you have some type of profile on each of these platforms, but really spend most of your time on where you can find your customers. So kind of going back to the example with Interrupt Media, many of your clients or potential clients might be on LinkedIn. Whereas if you had a fashion company or a jewelry company, or even like a tattoo, you're a tattoo artist, imagery is more important for your business. So you probably would be on Instagram or Pinterest or Facebook. So just keep that in mind. You want to make sure that the social media that you're doing fits the business that you're working with. So any questions on social media signals before we move on? No? Okay. So we mentioned Google Maps, and there are a very important element of a local SEO strategy. As you can see here, I just typed in salon. I did this search yesterday, and these are the locations that came up around my area. And you can see here, you can see again their reviews, you can see their phone number, and you can see their address. So what's important here, if you guys look, I know you guys use kilometers, right, for distance? Yeah, so here in the States, of course, we use miles, but you can see here the miles, the distance from my location. So if I'm not trying to drive far to go to the salon, I would probably pick Philip Mitchell Color Salon because they're only 0.4 miles away from me versus, all of these are pretty close, but let's say if it was more than 2 miles, then that's a further drive for me. So just some key stats about the Google map. So these 3 local pack results will receive about 32.3% of all clicks for this term. So this is a search I did for a barber in the Philippines, so a barber shop. So you can see here, it's really small, but barber in this area, it receives about 167,000 searches per month. And on average, these 3 businesses get a third of those clicks. So you can imagine if you're not in this local pack and you move into it, or if you are in this local pack and you move out of it, it can have a big impact on your business because not as many people are clicking through to your website. And just so to break that down a little further, so this #1 position, so Folk 1006, they get about 17% of that 167,000. So that's a lot of clicks. So they're getting a lot of business. Position #2, they get 12%. And then position #3, they get about 3%. And so that's important because if you were able to knock out one of these guys, or if, let's say, Ferdy's Barbershop was able to move up to #1, they can have a big impact on their business and the number of customers that they're getting through their local search, And it's important to note that all of these searches are from I'm searching from my desktop computer, but it doesn't consider people that are calling directly from their mobile device. And so when you're looking on your mobile phone, it looks a little bit different. So instead of having the website link, you can actually call that business directly from your phone. So that's really another important reason why you want to try to rank in the local pack, because it makes it easier for your potential customer to contact you. So any questions there? Okay. So as I mentioned at the start of this session, relevance, proximity, and prominence are very important when it comes to local SEO. And here's why. So relevance. So you want to make sure that your business is relevant for the proper terms that your target customers are using. So Jarek, if you had a photography studio, you would want to optimize your business, your website, for the same search terms that Joy is using for her singing workshop, right? Because you guys have different businesses, you guys have different target customers. So you want to make sure that you're using relevant keyword terms to optimize your website. So optimizing your website for those keyword terms and also optimizing your Google My Business profile. Proximity. So again, let's say that you and I, we both were in a mood for pizza today. But you guys search from your office location and I search from my office location. Since we're in different cities and different countries, thousands of miles away, we're going to get very different search results. So the way that you would use that, let's say if you're in a big city like San Francisco, where it's very competitive if you're just looking at San Francisco search terms. But if you break that down and maybe split that up into different areas of San Francisco, so some popular areas in San Francisco include Sunset, Mission, Castro, and so forth. If you optimize for those different neighborhoods, those different areas, you might see more traction with your local SEO strategy. So that's why proximity is very important. And then finally, prominence. So your company's prominence both online and offline. So to give you guys an example, let's have a volunteer. So let's go with Jonah. Jonah, what's one of your favorite types of food to eat?
Pasta.
Pasta. Great. I love pasta too. So let's say, Jonah, you're a really good pasta chef. I mean, out of all of your family, all of your friends, you're the best at cooking pasta. And let's say you decided to start a restaurant where you focus only on pasta. Now, tell me, anyone, what's a popular pasta restaurant in your area?
It's a resto called 1925.
1925?
Yes.
Okay, so I assume they're a pretty popular, they're a pretty big company? No? But they've been around for some time, right? Yeah. So let's say that 1925, so Jonah, if you were to start your own pasta restaurant, those would be one of your competitors, right? Because y'all serve the same types of food. And so let's say that you start your website and they already have their website. So based on this prominence bullet point here, 1925, just because they've been around longer and more people are aware of their brand, they're going to be more prominent because they've just been around longer. They have more experience. They have a better reputation versus Jonah's new pasta restaurant. So over time, that can change, but that's important. That's something to keep in mind, that when you're trying to optimize for local SEO, that if you're going against a larger brand or a more well-known brand, that might be a challenge for you to compete with them. So any questions there? No? Okay. So that brings me to the end of the session. Any questions on today's session or anything that we've covered so far in the course? Nothing? Okay. So this is the homework for the week. So similar to last week, I want you guys to review several articles that kind of dive into more detail about some of the topics we went over today. After that, I want you to build a keyword map for your own personal website. And I'm going to share with you an example of a keyword map. And this is something, if you're thinking about building your website, for the future, it's good to know the different target keywords that you should be going after for your website. And then I want you to share your URLs for your personal website. I want to see your guys' progress and see how that's coming along. So if you don't have a website, yeah, it's time to start working on it. And then after that, for Interrupt Media, as I mentioned, I want you to go ahead and set up the Google My Business page for Interrupt Media. So that includes verifying that Google My Business listing and also optimizing it. And then there are going to be a few separate videos, supplementary videos that I want you guys to review. And those are all going to be in that Google Drive folder. And then, of course, answer week 4 questions, week 4 homework questions. So everyone good there? Great. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this video, and then I'll just let you all know when it's uploaded in Slack. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and feel free to reach out on Slack if you have any questions before the next session. Y'all have a great evening.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Yeah, happy Halloween.